Hey everyone! So every Tuesday I do this Twitter chat from 11 to 12, in case you're interested. But this week we actually talked about asking for help. And I was so moved and I don't know why, but perhaps surprised by how challenging that is for many, many people, and how isolated people felt, how they felt like they didn't have anyone that they could reach out to for help, even if they were ready to ask. And it really made me think about it, because asking for help, I think, is such a powerful thing. And often as kids, we're taught, be strong, be self-sufficient, be independent. And that's great. It's great to know that you can count on yourself and that you can persevere and you can pursue things and you can get there. But at the end of the day, it actually does take a village. We need other people. It's a part of life, and connection and relationship is so much at the heart of what life is all about. And part of getting there is through asking for help, or at least being willing to be vulnerable. And I think one of the biggest struggles with vulnerability is that fear of rejection. You're going to ask someone and they're going to say no, or the fear that you're going to be perceived as weak or needy, or you're going to impose on somebody. Brené Brown, who's known for all of her studies on vulnerability and shame, had a great quote in regards to vulnerability. And it said that it's something that you ask for in other people, but you don't want to do yourself. In other people, it's daring and it's courage, but in yourself, it's weakness. And I thought that was so poignant, because isn't it true, we have such a double standard? If I were to ask you, what does strong mean? What must happen in order for you to be strong? Being vulnerable is probably not going to be high on that list. And yet, being able to ask for help, or being able to reach out when you don't know how to do something, or you need extra support, is so key in every successful person. You can't do it alone. You actually need help. And yet it's not necessarily something we're taught. In fact, quite the opposite. We're taught to do it ourselves, be strong. And so there's this double standard that goes on. In other people, it's great, but for me, it's not so good. And yet the lack of vulnerability, the lack of being able to reach out, has been tied to anxiety and depression and that feeling of isolation and missing out on opportunities, and ultimately not reaching your fullest potential. So I really want to encourage you and to invite you to explore, what does it mean to ask for help? And in a perfect world, you have a group around you that's supportive. But in the case of the many people that were on the Twitter chat, they didn't, or at least they didn't feel like they did. And so I would say, offer up to you, who could you ask for help from? Maybe it's a therapist, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a hotline, maybe it's a support group, maybe there's a club. Maybe it's just a matter of reaching out just that little bit. And one of the other things I had suggested is simply saying you're looking for somebody to help you can sometimes open the door. Maybe you just need to ask somebody to get to the person who might ultimately help you. And being willing, being able to put yourself out there and say, hey, you know what? I don't really know how to do this. And at different times, you might need it in different areas of your life. So where are you now? What's one area where you could actually make headway, or you could perhaps fulfill your greatest potential if you are willing to ask for help? And what's one small step that you could take to get there? I would love to hear. Please send me your answers. And if you need some extra support, reach out. I'm here as a resource too. You have somebody that's on your side. On that note, go out, trust yourself, be vulnerable, and shine.